All right, everybody. Good evening. I'm so glad you're joining us. We have such a great crowd, I think, for such a specific purpose. And so I just wanted to introduce myself quickly, and I wanted to point out a few of our district leaders here today, because not everybody might have had the pleasure of meeting them yet face to face. And so for the district leaders, if I mention you, if you could give a wave and then say something, your screen will highlight and people will be able to see who you are and know who you are. So first of all, I'm from the Berkshire Club, but I serve as area director on the district committee as well. And then I have the honor of serving on the nominating committee with two pretty amazing ladies. And the first I want to introduce is Beatrice Scory, our past governor. So Beatrice, say hello.
Hi.
Here she is. And then also Donna Clifford. I don't know if I saw her come in yet, Donna.
No, I haven't seen that Donna. You got two other Donnas, but not that
I
one.
know we have a lot of Donnas. And Donna is also a ZI Foundation ambassador. So hopefully we'll be able to see her tonight. She's expected to be here. And then obviously our current district governor, our fearless leader, Donna Schroka. Hello, Donna.
Hello. For those of you who haven't seen me yet on Zoom or in person.
Which would be very hard to do. You're so visible for all of us. And then Lieutenant Governor Donna Raycraft, who has passionately believed in the power of this, and I think really got this nominating committee training going.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
There she is. And then I believe the last person from the district board is, everybody knows, Mary Knight, our also technical guru for tonight, along with me.
Hi, everybody. So glad to be here.
She's our district secretary. And before I introduce the facilitator, who's here tonight from ZI and District 4, I'd love it to just hand it over to the Donnas, Donna Stroka, as well as Lieutenant Governor, to say a few words of welcome. If you want to talk a little bit about this, I mean, we'd love to hear from you ladies.
Yes, welcome and thank you. Thank you for what you're doing and being leaders in District 1. And as you all know, District 1 needs leaders and we need new leaders. And that's a lot of what we're looking at with this nominating training is how do we nominate? How do we find leaders in our midst so that we're not looking at recycling and people being presidents again and again, and who can we mentor and how can we do that? And one of the things that really came across to us as we did our surveys and talked to people was that there was a need for training, not only in the leadership, but how do we find leadership? And that's where the nominating ideas and thoughts really came about. And I'm going to give it right over to Donna Raycraft, because she really felt it, she saw it, she experienced it, and she's the one that's been really rallying for this. And so I'm happy to have Donna on the team. And tell us why you're so passionate, Donna.
Well, what happened was just before my head exploded, one of the people on the nominating committee in my club, who may or may not be on this call right now, told me that she said yes, because the person on the nominating committee before her said, it's really not very hard. You just have to make a few uncomfortable calls towards the end of the biennium. And after I picked up all the pieces of my head and put them back in, I said, you know what? We don't train our nominating committee. We don't tell them how important it is. I happen to think it's the most important position in any of our clubs or in our district, because what we're doing is building succession. What we're doing is creating the future for long after we are gone. And so I'm just so happy that this training is happening tonight. So my head won't explode again.
That's great. We're still admitting people, so that's wonderful. If there's nothing else, I would love to introduce who has been invited by Donna, Governor Donna, to be our speaker this evening. Lori Robinson, hopefully she's going to pop up on the top of everybody's feed when she starts speaking so that you can actually see her. If she doesn't, let me know and I will make her a spotlight and you'll be able to see her, because she's an amazing person that we're bringing in tonight. She's been a member of Zonta for 23 years. She served at, I think, every club level, including Zonta International. She was past district governor of District 4. And she was not chosen one time, but 3 times to serve as a facilitator trainer for the Zonta International Governor's Orientation. So we have quite a speaker for us tonight. In part, her extensive human resources background and her presentation skills are what's really taken her to the places that she's been for the Zonta Club. She's done it all: planning, organizing, directing, analyzing operations for companies throughout her whole career. And we're so pleased to have her come and share the tips, the techniques, and everything on how to inspire Zonta leaders, especially in your newest role. Lori, I'm sure you're going to talk about that. She is the Zonta International Spirit Committee co-chair, and you can see from her background, I think Spirit has a lot to do with nominating and engaging our members. So we're excited to have you tonight. Welcome aboard, and I'll turn it over to you.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Sandy. I'm just thrilled to be here. As you will know throughout my presentation, I do get very passionate about Zonta and training and some of the great things that Zonta has to offer individuals. So Sandy, you're at the top of my screen there, so you're going to watch my time for me. So that will be great. I can't see everybody, so that if you do have a question, you need to pop it in the chat or use your emoji, and between Sandy and Donna, they'll flag and stop me to go ahead. I do have some slides that I'd like to share with you tonight, and I want you to know that I've already shared them with your committee that met with me a week ago to put this presentation together with their ideas. And as I mentioned to Donna, Governor Donna and Sandy, that you can share these slides and use them and make them your own. Just please give credit at whatever end of every presentation that they have come from Zonta member Lori Robinson from the International Spirit Committee. And then that way people will say Spirit, and then we're going to get a big plug at the end too. So that's all I ask, but do take them and use them. So I love this picture, the nominating committee training. I'm not exactly sure who put it on the newsletter or where it came from, but man, I'm going to use this moving forward, because I think that this epitomizes Zonta and women, that we're going to be trained and we're going to know what we're going to be doing moving forward in the next biennium. So somebody already said it, that you are the most important committee in your Zonta Club and in your district. I mean, succession planning is so important. Businesses do it all the time. You know, they're planning for succession all the time, and we need to do that for Zonta in order to make it happen. If you take a little step back and you look at what our Zonta International Board is doing and how they bring members into the international level as committee chairs on committees, then they move to be a board of director, and then president, vice president, president-elect. It's all succession planning. So we have to get better at doing that at our club and district levels, so that we can maintain the knowledge that each member brings to those committees. So congratulations, you're here. When we're finished tonight, these are the expected outcomes. I want you to be able to understand your responsibilities and your roles as membership committee. I want you to be able to have some ideas on how to recruit leaders and where to find the tools that Zonta International has already put together. You don't have to recreate things, it's all there. And then when we're finished tonight, I want you to be able to have a plan, be able to communicate it with your board, and know that you're planning ahead and how much relief that's going to be from you. So it's not going to be a few panicked phone calls as you're receiving and reaching a deadline to make things happen. So this is the duties of the board. The district board shall have a general supervision over clubs and administration, and the same for a club. Do you notice? Boards don't determine policy. They don't authorize big projects, and they don't make any substantial donations or adapt to a budget. All of those things are done by the members. So in fact, when you are a member of a board, you are there to make sure that things run as they are been directed from your annual general meeting or from your district conferences. No decisions are made there. It is just a very important board to make sure the wishes of the members are in fact being looked after, because Zonta is a member-driven organization. Now you can see down at the bottom, I've even given you the source of where that came from. And that source is our governing documents. And I'm going to be able to show you where those governing documents are. But it's not tough decisions. It's just administrating. Duties of a nominating committee. Well, they're there. They're all written down. It talks exactly about how many members you need to have. And based on your club bylaws or your district bylaws, that's what you need to follow. And these have been taken from the Zonta bylaws. The role of the nominating committee is to make sure that you are fulfilling and filling the board positions that are vacant. You need to have a recruiting information, receive nominations, you need to screen appropriately, and it would be nice to have more than one member stand for every position so that you have an election. Because really, in a democratic society, elections are healthy. It gives people a choice. You want to be able to communicate with the nominees and prepare your election, your slate for elections at the deadlines given by your club bylaws and by your district governing documents. You want to make sure that you are looking after what your board needs. Now, this is a very interesting perspective from an HR recruiter. If you have a governor who is very detail oriented and very much to the books and keeps everybody steady in line, and the next person coming behind her is very informative and affectionate and gets everything done and together, and they would work well together as a team. So you want to make sure that the board that you put together with area directors supports their fit. If you have a whole bunch of people sitting at a board and they're saying, yes, we need to make sure in our next conference or AGM that we plan this and we do this and we do this, but nobody is there to put the action plan together, nothing gets done. You want to make sure that when you're putting your boards together and you're putting people's names forward for nomination, that they're going to be succinct and compatible and work cohesively as a team, not working in silos for a different agenda other than the mission and vision of your club or your district. And you want to make sure that you talk about succession planning at every level. If you're putting someone's name forth to be an area director or a director on your board, in a couple of years after they've done their term, would they like to step to be lieutenant governor? Is that something that you could help them and mentor them through to make sure that they make those changes? So you want to make sure that you have a full evaluation of the existing board and then what's going to be needed moving forward. We talk about recruiting, and recruiting is not a dirty word when you are looking for leadership. Recruiting is the fact of life. recruiting for companies, recruiting for volunteer organizations. It's recognizing the gaps that you have. It's seeking out the best talent. It's sourcing collaborative skills. And in order to do that, you need to know where you're going. What kind of bus are you on? You know, we talked about in our planning meeting, the Zonta spirit, and how sometimes in our clubs, we're on a bus and we're in the back of the Walmart parking lot or the back of the Sam's Club, and we're not going anywhere and we're not having any fun. People don't want to be on that bus. They want to be on a bus that has a mission and a vision, and that it's going to be fun and engaging, and they're going to build strong relationships and have information and be able to share ideas with people for a common goal, a common purpose. And that's why it's important to know what your strategic plan is for your club and where you're going, so that you can give the members that are going to be stepping to leadership those ideas, so that they too feel passionate and empowered to take it to the next level. So why do members step for leadership? Well, there's lots of different reasons. Sometimes people say, well, if I don't do it, nobody will. Kind of the martyr syndrome, you know. Can't let my club fail. I want to make sure that it works ahead and keeps going. Whether it's leadership by head or heart, you want to make sure that you're making the Zonta spirit known throughout, so that you can engage the leaders who have a true desire to work within your club or district for the betterment of Zonta. And that's where we need to be. And you can see there in the background, there's another spirit, Zonta spirit logo, and the one behind me. These are the passionate and the heart triggers that we need for Zonta. Membership-based volunteer organizations run almost 80% by heart. That's what we need to engage when we're looking at engaging our members to step for leadership productions. We want to make sure that they are sharing best practices, they're discussing leadership at all times. We're going to build on their strengths, and we're going to support their weaknesses or the things that they want to improve. So, your job as a member of the nominating committee is to watch, to listen, to learn, and to support. You want to make sure that you are engaging all the members of your club, getting to know them, find out what it is they like to do in their spare time. Perhaps they are a secretary for a church organization or something else. Maybe they would be willing to be your secretary for your club. Maybe they have an interest in parliamentary procedures and they love bylaws. Not my forte, but maybe they love bylaws and resolutions, and they would be a good parliamentarian moving forward. And you can hone and groom them at your club level, so that when your governor is looking for a good parliamentarian, she can go to the clubs and she has people that have already been groomed through the process of Zonta and the Roberts rules. So those are just different things that you can do so that you understand where your members are. You want to build those relationships and have those conversations. And I'm going to share a conversation in a little bit with you. Right here. So this is a technique that I used when I was on the D4 nominating committee. Hi, my name's Lori, and I'm a proud member of the Zonta Club of Brampton Caledon and past president. Do you know that being a president gave me the confidence to meet community leaders and share best practices? Have you ever thought of using your great talents to lead our club? Or maybe somebody else has a story to share. So here you go, Sandy and Donna. Is there anyone else that would like to share their ask? If they've been on a nominating committee before, how they would ask someone to be involved? I've also used, hey, I'm past governor of District 4, and you want to learn something and be part of something bigger than your district? Be a governor. Meet 30 plus other fantastic businesswomen who support the mission and vision of Zonta, because that's truly an amazing feeling. And Donna and Beatrice will be able to confirm that. Anybody want to share?
Lori, I just heard one this week that I thought was great. And it was from a woman in Montreal, and she's a very busy woman. And somebody said, oh, well, when you're talking to people, they'll say they're too busy doing things. And so her reply is, oh, too busy. You're just the person I need. Because busy women get more done. And I just thought, wow, what a great response to busyness.
Yeah, that's great. Anybody else?
I would just point out to someone a skill that I'd noticed that they had. I've noticed that when in our club, you're the first one to step if this needs to be done or if that needs to be done. And I know that you know that our club is really strong, and I personally want it to continue to be strong. So probably you do too. So would you step up to this?
Mm-hmm. You know, sharing your personal story and then asking people, you know, what their talents are or something that you've noticed really makes that personal connection solidify. You know, hey, I just do what I do because I like doing it. I didn't notice that anybody noticed, right? I don't do it to be noticed. So excellent, Donna, that would be great. So what I'm going to challenge you to do, if you are on the nominating committee, I need you to write out your ask and have a couple of them ready. Because if you're writing them out and you believe what you're saying, it will become second nature to ask people. And you know, the bottom line is people may not step if they're not asked. And sometimes it's just asking. So, true story. As chair of the nominating committee for District 4, I was short an area director. We had sent out emails. We had phoned, left messages, met people. Nobody would get back to us for a particular area, and it was very frustrating. So I was invited to a club social. It was called a Salad Fest. And from Canada, I had to go down and through the border and cross the border. And I made arrangements to stay with somebody else overnight. And I went to Salad Fest because I knew that the president of the club was going to be there. I mean, who's going to have a Salad Fest and not show up to your own club Salad Fest? So I went down and I got there lots early, and she was in the kitchen. And I said, here, let me help. And I washed my hands and I was putting stuff in salads. And I said, so I would like you to let your name stand for area director. And she took a step back and she looked at me. She goes, oh, I don't think I could do that. And I said, listen, I didn't come all the way from Caledon, Ontario, down to your Salad Fest to ask you to do something I didn't think that you could do. I've seen you bring this club to this level, run great fundraising events. Your board, your club is the first one that have all the reports into the current area director. I know you can do this. And she took a step back and she looked at me and she said, yes, I will be area director if you get me the information and help me. I said, absolutely. Absolutely. sometimes you just have to ask. So I want you to remember that story, because you're going to need to make lots of asks to people who may or may not step to leadership. But trust me, it gets easier. So here is where all your knowledge is. Now, Donna Raycraft, did the request go out to have people maybe try 2.4 succession planning ahead of time?
They were invited to.
Okay, so I'm going to show everybody where it is. So through this technology, now Sandy and I have practiced this, so this should work good. Up here on the top, My Zonta. If you click on your Zonta into the Zonta International website, can you see that, Sandy?
The link didn't go to the web page. I don't know if your screen share, if you need to do a new share.
How's that?
Nope, we're still looking at your PowerPoint.
Okay, so let me do a new share. I'm going to just hang on for a second here. I'll go back. Because it worked the first time, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm just wondering right now, you're probably sharing just the PowerPoint instead of your whole screen. Can you stop share? And then there you go. We're cooking with gas. It worked perfectly. Yep.
Okay. So this is actually My Zonta. So you have to go to Zonta International, and then you have to click onto My Zonta. And you're going to go into My Zonta. And here is Uta and all the wonderful things here. And up here on My Zonta, still following, there's governance. That is where I'm going to click on that in a minute. But down through here is tools. So you're going to click on tools, and tools, we're good. You can see my tools.
We do.
And great. And this is just, there's so much here. You can spend 4 days going through every slide. So here is, you can see the different colors. You can see where I've been in. They're the lighter blue ones and the dark ones. So I'm going to come down here, and we're going to go into leadership development tools. Leadership development tools brings you to this great page. It talks about how-tos, personal development library. There's just so much information here. Talks about the leadership program. And then down here, this little bar here, leadership program, takes you into all the YouTube videos that have already been done that you can pop in and look at. Some of them are as short as 8 minutes long. Some of them are up to 12 and 15 minutes. You can pick the modules. You don't have to do them in order. And the one that I really, really suggest that you take a look at is 2.4 succession planning. It will reiterate some of the things that I've already talked about tonight, and how to go about succession planning and doing asks. As you go up back to the top, it talks about the governance structure and bylaws, and club and protocol manuals are all here as well and explained. But down near the bottom, down here, 6.5 is targeted recruiting. This is a module that was designed for leadership when you want to recruit members who have specific skills to join your club, like an accountant or a lawyer. Gives you very good tools. These are transferable tools for when you are looking at your club or your district and what it is that you would like to recruit for, and how to actually go about making those lists and where to find those people. Here is where the nominating committee needs to live. It talks about area director preparation. So there's no sense in asking someone to step for area director if you don't know what their duties are. It's the same as if you are going to ask someone to step for a director in your club. You need to go back to your club bylaws and express to them what it is an area or a director would do. A president, a vice president, just the same as a district treasurer, lieutenant governor, or a district governor. So these have all great YouTube tools that have wonderful transferable knowledge. You can pick up different things and use it back and forth to many different positions that you would be recruiting for. So that's the leadership. I'm going to come back out. In this tools section, we have the brand new Zonta Spirit. If you are trying to get to know someone and talk about the Zonta Spirit and what the Zonta Spirit means to you, there's going to be more and more video presentations in here that you will be able to use. And they're great for workshops. There are a number of videos here that have been put together so that you can empower and be passionate when you're making your asks and using the proper verbiage of your skill set, your passion, your enthusiasm. Everybody likes to hear that they are exuding the Zonta Spirit. And when you have a board that everyone is embodying that Zonta Spirit, it's a fun bus. And once you get that fun bus rolling, everybody will want to be on your board. Trust me, it'll be a great thing. I told Donna and Sandy that I would show you where you can get my lovely background. So if you go into PR tools and logos, into resource library, business card template, Zonta programming, all kinds of fantastic things here. And here are the virtual backgrounds. Zonta Spirit in pink and Zonta Spirit in blue. So that's where they are. And there's really great other ones in here as well. Zonta says no. You can have just yellow roses on your background. So these are things that you can put together to make little presentations to your club about stepping up to leadership. Everything is here. Oh, I'm going to go back to screen share here. So under tools, succession planning, all kinds of great things there for you to use. Targeted recruiting. And under that governance tab is the Zonta manuals. Okay. So when does a nominating committee start? Well, you start right now. Don't leave it until 4 weeks before your next club or the district time that your nominations have to be in, because Donna will be asking you what their slate's going to be like months before conference. So you're going to have to get going on theirs. You know, as soon as a nominating committee is elected and the biennium changes and the new team comes in, that's when you need to start looking for candidates for the next slate. Trust me, the Zonta International Nominating Committee, they were actually starting to recruit before they left Hamburg, Germany. they were already pressing the flesh and asking people if they wanted to step to leadership roles in the next biennium. You can't wait. You have to be able to be prepared to get those people in place. Because as you know, things change. And just because someone says no now, doesn't mean that in another few months or maybe next year, they will remember that you asked, and maybe they will be ready to step for leadership at that time. So remember, you are the most important committee in your club or district because you hold the key to succession planning and the success of your club and your district. So at this time, I was going to ask for questions ahead of time and I got a little excited and I never did. But if you have any questions that I didn't answer, your feedback is always great and greatly appreciated. And I'm sorry with this format, it's hard not to see your faces all at once. So maybe if I stop sharing my screen, is that okay, Sandy? And then I'll be able to see.
Yep, then we can
Okay.
have an open discussion. Perfect.
Okay. So I'm open to any questions about what you've seen. As I said, I'm willing to share that presentation. So if you have other members of your nominating committee that weren't able to be here tonight, I know that Sandy's recording, so you'll be able to share in your district as well.
If I could, I would just like, when we were doing our planning as people get their questions together, perhaps, we also came up with some good ideas as kind of the district leadership and the chairs or the nominating committee on the district level. And that is to just, and I have a little bulleted list because I thought that they were great ideas that I took notes for myself, which is don't assume that busy people or somebody can't serve. Always talk, ask them, manage objections that they might have. A lot of busy people actually will step up to serve if you understand what they can gain from it. What are their, and then we have how will they grow? How will they enjoy their role? And if a nominating committee goes in to speak to somebody with that knowledge, here's how we think you'll grow. Here's how we think you can expand. Here's how you'll enjoy it. I think that can help. Another suggestion that came in from that was be realistic with your expectations and commitment levels, because being an engaged board member is super important. So you want them to be there when you need them and to know that in advance and to let them know that their role in that is super important, but let them know what the commitment is in advance and not say, oh, just agree to serve. I think a lot of us have small clubs, and so we're tapping sometimes the same people, and that's sorry.
Well,
that speaks to a little bit of club growth that we need to do too.
But you know, in that conversation too, we also talked about, you know, you ask someone to stand for to a secretary, to be secretary or treasurer, and they go, whoa, I can't do that because so-and-so did it this way and I could never live up to their expectations. And, you know, sometimes as a volunteers in organizations, you have somebody who is retired and can give it 110%. And now you're somebody who works and has, you know, maybe small kids and do whatever. And you're very skilled and would be able to do it. And, you know, everybody has to make it their own too. And then we have to do it with support. And, you know, don't worry about that. Perhaps, you know, Jane can come and mentor with you for a little bit and show you how she did it. And maybe, you know, maybe you're not going to do it all in paper and on an Excel spreadsheet. You're going to put it in QuickBooks and you're going to be even faster because that's the world you live in. So everybody takes a position and makes it their own, but the guidelines and the responsibilities and everything are all listed out in manuals and in club manuals and the guidelines from Zonta International.
Does anybody have specific struggles that you would like Lori to address?
How many have your elevator speech already ready that you were thinking about after I said it?
Why don't you explain what should be in the elevator speech? Is it just that one little ask? Why you found it valuable?
Well, I have learned that when you share a story, people remember it better. And so if you have a shared story that you can share about what it means for you to be part of a leadership team. And I use the same thing when I talk about spirit. I have a definition of Zonta spirit, and it has a really great story. And when I tell people my spirit story, they go, yeah, that's the kind of club I want to belong to. So my spirit story is, 22 years ago, I went to my Zonta club as a brand new member and said, I'm quitting my job and opening my own staffing firm. And the grand opening is in 6 weeks, and I'd love you all to come. And never thinking that I was going to have 90% of 35 of my club members show up for my open house come and go. And these were women who only knew me for a year. These are women who may not have been in leadership positions that would have been able to utilize my service. So they weren't coming to find out what I could do for them. They came because they were supporting me as a new member of their Zonta club and as a young woman in business. And I was hooked. If these women who had 25 years in Zonta and were coming to see and to support me, wow, that I still get shivers. Seriously, I still remember those faces, coming through, and unfortunately there's a lot of them that are no longer here walking this earth. But 21 years ago, they came to support me, and that's what Zonta is. That's why we step for leadership. That's what we want to make sure goes on for another 100 years. And that's why we need to build our clubs and our areas and our districts so that we can make sure that that happens. Debbie Dwyer, I saw your hand.
Thank you. Lori, I have a quick question. We have a problem. Our club is small, but we're growing, and we are hoping that this will even help us grow more. I think my concern is we have always looked for seasoned members to move up in leadership because they knew what Zonta was and they had the enthusiasm. Well, not always the enthusiasm, we had to beg. But what are your thoughts on having members who have only been a member for a year or maybe a little bit more get on the board of directors and then hopefully move up from there?
I say take them. I say take them. And I'm going to tell you why. We have a Zonta club here in District 4 in Area 2. And the gal's name is Catherine Babasich. And I know that she won't mind me sharing this story. Catherine Babasich became a member of her club and 2 months later was president. And the reason why is because she said, I've joined this club. I know other women in other areas, in other cities that belong to Zonta. I want the Zonta Club of Oakville to be successful. And if it means that I have to take this leadership role and learn from the start, if the area director will help me and I can call on other local clubs for support I need, I will take it. This is a club that now gives Zonta International over 30,000 Canadian dollars a year and has won awards and everything. And Catherine grabbed that leadership, and she knew the intricacies of succession planning, and they were down in numbers, and now they're up over 25 and they have a great group. You're going to find that the younger generation are not going, and this is generalizing, unfortunately, but are not going to be your 25-year members. They're going to come in, they're going to give what they can for 5 to 7 years at the most, unless you can hook them into the Zonta spirit. So by the time you wait for someone to be seasoned, Debbie, they're going to be leaving.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, we're lucky because we have Sandy, and Mary Knight has been so supportive over the years. So, and Vicky, we've got some good ideas. Thank you.
My pleasure. You want to make sure that when you are, recruiting for a position and somebody has concerns, that you make sure that you have the treasurer stay on to mentor for, 3 or 4 months if possible. If the way the district is set up, your governor doesn't learn overnight how to be governor. She becomes lieutenant governor and learns through that training so she can get that mentoring, so that when she does take that role as governor, she has 2 years training, generally is what they get. You go to governor's orientation, and then she builds a great network with 30 other women, well, no, women and men, 30 other governors who support and become sounding boards and help too. So no leadership position is in a silo. Everybody has support. So you just want to make sure that when you are recruiting members, that you offer them the support. And the mentoring program is such a great way. The Zonta International Mentoring Program for the youth coming through is going to be, I believe, extended, and we're going to do peer mentoring, down the road. But there's lots of peer mentoring that happens in clubs, cross districts. We share skills and talents so that we can, get new ideas and difference, and that's mentoring. I mean, I met Donna at governor's orientation, and she, I know, collaborates with our governor here in District 4, and it's about sharing. And I think that's one of the things that we have somehow thought that if I don't have the skill set, I'm embarrassed to ask, so I go without. But if somebody sees somebody struggling and we share the story and we share our experiences and help each other out, it's only going to make our clubs better, our areas better, and our districts better. And in the end, the Zonta International will grow. And that's what we all want.
Thank you, Lori. I think you've said it so beautifully. And I remember governor's orientation, and I was drawn to the words that you said then. And I'm so grateful that you're able to come and share with our group now. And I think the piece of not being alone, and what I've tried to do through my time, both as a lieutenant governor and now as a governor, is bring these clubs together. And so when you're looking, hey, I'm on the nominating committee for my club, and this was a great training, and now I go and I'm trying to remember, oh, how do I really do it though? What am I going to do with my club? You've got each other to also call back on and say, hey, Vicky, the one from the Berkshires, not the one from Amherst. I remember you were in this meeting. And what are you doing on your nominating? How, we've got, we were able to get this person, but I'm stuck on this person. And just kind of helping each other is really, it takes a village to grow Zonta. And, none of us are doing it alone. And I think looking at nominating and looking at, what I've been so impressed with in Zonta has been the new ways of thinking. How are we going to do it for the next 100 years? We're proud of our past 100 years, but going forward, it's different. And some of the clubs, I was actually talking with our international liaison the other day about our e-club and the Amelia Earhart winners. And she said that in Italy, they have the Amelia Earhart winners have their own little e-club. I'm there, but how do they meet? Do they meet every Tuesday at 7? And she says, oh, no, they would never do that. They kind of put together a doodle pool and find out what day they all could meet next, and might be every 6 weeks. And that's how they do it. And it's like, oh, well, it's not quite the same as we've always done it, but it works, you know, so you kind of have to, you know, we're in a changing time right now in really looking at what's new and how can we do it and how do we really kind of maintain what we have, but also grow and do some new things. So I'm very excited of having the nominating committee get some real training and time together to think about it, because we need all of us to bring our next leaders to our next group.
So here's a task, a challenge for nominating committee for your club. You need to go back to your club, either on your, we have our stuff all on Google Docs, but pull out your last club bylaws and, you know, go through your position descriptions. They'll be listed in your bylaws. If you can't find them, maybe this is a good opportunity to have your club do some new bylaws for your next annual general meeting. There are documents on Zonta International under governance for club manuals that you can download and just plop your club's name in and use them. You know that they're I approved. You know, go through your position descriptions. We used to have in one of our clubs our communications person, and it said every month 2 weeks before the meeting, you mailed out your agenda and the minutes from the previous meeting. Well, we haven't done that in forever. You know, everything's email. So you want to make sure your job descriptions are current. Work with your bylaws people and get them up so that you understand the positions that you're recruiting for. I mean, the expectations of showing up for meetings and being participatory, like Sandy said, are really important. But you also have to remember that these are not positions that are making big decisions for your club. This is a governance committee. These are governance roles and supporting the people that are making those decisions, the committee members. And it goes back to the committees. And one of the things that I've always said when I was, you know, president of my club and then, you know, area director, and then if you want to know the color of the napkins at your next fundraising event, be on the committee. The club does not vote on stuff like that. That's a committee decision, right? If you're empowering volunteers to do those sorts of things, you know, discussing who's buying the cake and what color are the decorations at your board meeting is a waste of time. You don't do that. You just talk about big picture. And as Donna said, you know, things are changing. In our club bylaws, it says we meet once a month, the last Tuesday of the month. Well, we don't need to do that now because we have such great communication skills or templates on our Google Drive. Everybody is responsible. They go in, they read what they need to read, and they meet every other month now and make sure things are done online. So, you know, we're changing, we're being smarter with our time, but it still gives us the opportunity to learn new skills, Zoom, Robert's rules, you know, all kinds of things that can be transferred into our everyday business life. It's a learning, and you have to take it like that. Would you be interested in learning, developing your skills in a safe environment where it's okay to make mistakes because we're all there to support each other in a positive direction?
Absolutely.
And we have a few minutes left as a timekeeper here and if there's any other burning questions or thoughts or gratitude you would like to share, now is a good time.
I'll just, actually a question, but first of all, thank you, Lori. This has been illuminating. I'm the Zonta Club of Concord president, so I was happy I was able to be here. And I guess I'm wondering how I can best support the nominating committee. And I'm thinking it's like, okay, we've got a meeting, our business meeting coming up on Wednesday. Am I kind of softening the field? Hey, guess what? Our nominating committee is going to be looking, but also putting out there, you don't need to wait to be tapped. right? If you want to be involved at a different level, here are the people you need to talk to.
On the Zonta International website, there's actually a nominating form.
Mhm.
You can use them. They just give you some guidelines, but you can always say to your club, nominating committee is going to be putting their slate together. If you or someone would like to step for a leadership position, have them talk to our nominating committee. I always say elections are healthy. We need to have choice. We need to have that spirit of enthusiasm. And I don't know about you, but if I've had to work that little bit harder to get something that I wanted to do, it makes me feel special. Makes me feel like I've accomplished something. If I'm acclaimed on something because nobody else wanted to run or stand or against it, then I think, how can I be so silly and wanting to do this because nobody else wanted to do it? So why do I want to do it, right? So you want to make sure that you're creating a good sense of competitiveness and spirit to go through and give people the opportunity to put somebody else's name. Being that nominating committees are running a little bit tight now coming up for elections, you might be relying on people to refer people because you haven't had the time to create those relationships. So I'm hoping that this information and knowledge, now that Donna has it for this biennium, Donna will have it for the next biennium, and you'll be able to empower your committees to start earlier.
And I think Sid was raising her hand.
Yeah, my name's Sid Mitcher. I'm the vice president of the Quabog Valley Zonta Club. My whole career has been in nonprofit management, and I just wanted to push back just a little bit on the idea of competitive elections. I would say make sure your nominating committee is extremely careful about who they put forward to nominate, even if you have a competitive election. I, in my day job, not with Zonta, we've just went through basically 2 years of governance crisis because someone just insisted that he deserved to be president. And even though he was one person and had only a few supporters, he made it extremely difficult and extremely unpleasant. And we lost eight board members in 2 years. So make sure that your nominating committee feels completely empowered to say, okay, we have 2 candidates or 3 candidates. They have been vetted. They are absolutely appropriate. And if you have somebody who is not appropriate, don't say, oh, isn't democracy fun if it's going to mean somebody, this particular person campaigned. So he tried to get people to, stand behind him. And they all went, no, because I have to work with everybody else. So the limit of competitiveness is you do not want to get into a position where you then have to work with somebody who campaigned against you, for example, or half a group.
You bring up really great points, excellent points. The thing with Zonta is there's no campaigning. It's right in your bylaws that you are not allowed to campaign for positions. But I do hear your nominating committee is going to vet, and they're not going to put people's names forward if they don't feel that they have the skill sets to do it, if you have availability. But here's the thing. If we don't have a candidate that can do the job as a nominating committee, if we don't have any candidates, the person who wants to put their name forward ends up being acclaimed. So we have to be careful on that level too. But good point. I didn't mean that, we're going to campaign and I just mean that choice is good. And it would be really good if the nominating committee could source, two good choices for an election. And for smaller clubs, we all know that that's not possible.
Right, right. Excellent. And then if I could just make one point to Lynn's as well, I think that to tee up your nominating chair with what you've learned or what you valued from your level of service, I think would be a really strong message. Because I think sometimes everybody looks at the president or they look at the busy people and say, I could never, but they don't realize that there is value in that and that you're receiving something for that service too. And just say, hey, you know what, I've learned this, this, and this. I met so many people I would never meet. And I just think that that's an inspiring and fun way to say, you know, it's not all hard work. So you get to have a lot of fun in the role too, and not forget about that. So anything else before we close? We're a couple of minutes over, but I think it was a great conversation.
I'd just like to add that if the whole nominating committee from your club was not here, could you please share with them what you've learned and maybe give them a little bit of enthusiasm and do some rah-ring so that they'll be enthused too.
Yeah. Great. Well, without any further ado, I'm going to let you handle the wrap up, Governor Donna. I feel like you've led us so well. And would you like to?
Well, I think I'm coming full circle to saying, you know, thank you, Lori, for sharing the experience and your fun stories, because I think the Zonta spirit really kind of shines through. And I think Donna Raycraft, thank you for being so passionate, and I can say adamant that we needed this training and we needed to really look at what we are doing with nominating. And I think all of you who have been involved in leadership roles and sharing your own stories and coming up with how do you do the ask, I think we're going to learn from each other, and that's how we're going to grow as District 1 and go forward. And I really appreciate the thought-provoking questions, Sid, because I think it's not, we don't have an easy job here. This is not something that, oh, okay, now we've got all the answers because we have a PowerPoint. We're still going to hit our heads when we don't necessarily come up with people who are ready. And as we're trying to vet them through, I think that's where, as you can talk to each other and really look, I've got, whether it's as Lynn was saying, somebody who, or Debbie, I think was saying, somebody who's really new, but do they have the strength to do a certain thing? Who can mentor that person? So I think we're also really looking at mentors. And I could not be doing what I'm doing if it wasn't for the mentors of the people in my own club who had been doing these leaderships for years. And then when I learned from other clubs and other people. So it's a process, you know, and we're in it together. So thank you all for your time tonight and the time that you're going forward and looking for our new leaders.